Hi guys, Pat here from Pixina Studio, and today I would like to cover some of the new features of version 1.4. And I also like to apologize for the long wait because I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this version. I do, however, have good news and bad news. The good news is that we're going to launch version 1.4 as promised, but the bad news is that we're not able to complete all the features that we plan to complete for version 1.4. So we're actually going to launch another version on September 5th, version 1.4.1, and that's going to contain all the features that we skipped, we missed. The reason why we're launching this right now is because a lot of people have just been waiting for this, and we just don't want to keep them waiting any longer. So let's go ahead and demo these new features. One thing we upgraded on this platform was the language switcher, as well as adding more strings. So basically, people can now translate the entire website. So there are more items to translate. Then here we also added an extra item called RTL. For those of you who don't know, that's right to left. So some languages start from right to left, and so the script now is compatible with that. So let's go ahead and switch this to Urdu. So Urdu is one of the languages that the RTL was enabled. So if you can, as you can notice, it's like right to left. I'm gonna show you guys how to translate some items because some people don't know how to do that yet. So I'm gonna give a quick demo on how to do that. Also, items right here, they're not showing because we haven't translated them yet. So once you translate the items in the footer, they actually are gonna appear here. So let's go back to English and actually sign in. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with this homepage. We did improve the search. So if I type F right here, so what it does is it searches the database and compares it with whatever you type in and changes the font weight. So basically you see that the item we're typing is bold. And if we proceed to type more of an item, like take for example fix, it's gonna now just show us the entire item for that category. So it's either user or services. Services is the same as proposals. So we can easily just go to this. So if we click here, it's gonna take us to um, fix my website's profile page. Or if we click on any of these services here, it's gonna take us directly to that service page. So that's kind of how it works. So let's go ahead and actually search for, let's click on something here. Let's click on this one right here. So this takes us to that proposal directly. Um, Another thing we did too is we made tags clickable. So basically, version 1.3.3, you're unable to click on tags. But with this version, if you click on the tag, it's going to open up a page with proposals that are related to that tag. So let's go back to homepage. Recent buyer requests. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit about this because a lot of people are still curious on how this works. So the way we created this system, we created in the way that we wanted requests to appear in front of the right sellers. So basically, when a user is trying to create a request, when a user is trying to post a request, that user has to choose a category and a subcategory. So for example, if this user right here is trying to create a request under and chooses the category programming and tech and the subcategory web programming, whatever info he adds for that request is going to appear in front of Fix My Website. And that request is going to appear in front of Fix My Website just because Fix My Website has proposals under that category. So in other words, if someone, say this other user right here, creates a proposal under creates a request under this category here, so maybe resumes and stuff, that request is actually not going to appear in front of Fix My Website, and that's just because Fix My Website doesn't have a proposal on that category. So in a nutshell, once a user creates a request, that request now is gonna go to the right seller. So basically, that request, based on the request category, it's gonna appear in front of the right sellers. However, some users didn't necessarily like it that way. Some users want every request to appear in front of every seller. And so we've added the option in the admin panel where you can either have a request appear in front of the relevant seller or appears in front of every seller. So that's a quick thing about that option right there. So let's go now to the dashboard. So now another item we implemented in version 1.4 is the fact that some menu items are not available to people who are just buyers. So once you create an account on the script, you're a user slash a buyer, and with that, right now you cannot have access to certain uh, items here, like revenues, orders, create a coupon buyer. You're not gonna see that if you're just a buyer. But once you create a proposal and that proposal is approved, then you're gonna have more access to more selling items. So that's kind of how the new version works. Another new item is the create a coupon. So now sellers can do their own private marketings. So once a seller comes to this page, all that seller's proposal will be loaded on this section right here, and the seller can easily create a coupon code for that, for any of the proposals here. Also, we added that same feature. So if we go to proposals and we choose this proposal right here and click on view coupons, so this is going to take us to this page where we can see the coupon codes for that proposal. And so in this page right here, the seller can either edit or delete, and the seller can also add more coupon codes for that proposal. So that's a new feature we added. So if we go back to my proposals, another item we improved was the create a proposal page. So if we click on here, we redesigned it and made it a lot easier for sellers. So this is how it looks now. So once you're on an active tab, the background is dark and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and create a proposal. So we're just gonna put that. Again, tags are clickable. So clicking on the tag will take you to a page with proposals that have that same tag. So we're gonna go ahead and save and continue. Oh, all right. So that was good that that came on. So if you have a proposal with that same name, that's not gonna work. So let's try something else. So choose that. Okay. So we click save and continue, and so that now takes us to pricing. Now, pricing now has a fancy display, and here you can, if you want to go the package way, you can add that, add the information here. You can add more attributes to this package table here, or here down here you can also add as many extras as you want, or if you rather go with a fixed price, you can do that here. So hit save and continue. Okay, so here now you add the description for that proposal. Then here we added a section where you can actually add frequently asked questions. So we can do that, and we can insert that. And so there it is. And so now we can save and continue. So now this section right here, This is when the seller requires some more information from the buyer in order to start an order. So essentially, once a buyer places an order, that order doesn't actually start. The countdown doesn't actually start until that buyer responds to whatever the seller writes here. But this item is actually optional. So if the seller doesn't write anything on here, after the buyer purchases the order, it starts automatically. But if there's info on this place right here, the order doesn't start. So we just hit save and continue. So here, right here, we can add images. We can add images and we can add a video. Actually, let's go ahead and go to a proposal and just edit it. So if we come back here and we just click here and we just click edit. So here you see the menu kind of changes. We can easily just edit the items here. We can easily go back and forth items and change whatever we want, and just save. Here we have images. We can easily just remove that. So we definitely did improve the create proposal experience. Now it's easier and a lot of people want to do it. So now let's go back to this page. Let's go back to the dashboard and let's head over to inbox messages. So now we added a system where the admin, so I'm just gonna go quick here. So here it says restricted words. So these are all words the admin doesn't want users using. So basically, if a user uses any of these words, that user is actually gonna get a warning. So take for example, we talk to this guy and we type. We're gonna use one of the words, so we're gonna use pay. So we type pay. So we get that error message right there. That message. So we can and type something else. So you see that actually disappears. So basically, if someone, however, uses one of these words, one of these blacklisted, these restricted words, and still, uses one of the restricted words and still sends the message, then, oh, sorry, let's just go back here real quick. So if somebody uses one of these restricted words and sends the message, then it's gonna appear right here, notifications. So it's gonna appear right here. So the admin can easily review that. So let's go back to the home page. So now if we click on here, actually this is my proposal. Let's click on a different proposal. So if we click on report, this is actually, now this is gonna send an email to the admin. So when someone reports anything on the platform, messages or anything, the admin now receives an email. So now let's go to the admin panel, and so I can show you guys what we added here. So here we added this item here. Some people didn't want that, so we kind of just added the option where you can either allow that or you can remove that, kind of like WordPress. We also added this right here. So basically, this is the section where you can either allow all requests to appear in front of all sellers or appear in front of just the relevant sellers. So this kind of way you edit that. So now let's head over to payment settings. So if we scroll down here, we implemented pay stack, so people can now pay and withdraw, with pay stack. The next version, version 1.4.1, September 5th, we're gonna add Payoneer. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about notification. So basically, if someone types a restricted word and still sends it despite the warning, that comes over here to notifications. So real quick, I'm gonna show you guys how to translate the front end of the website. So basically, log out here. So now a lot of people have asked me how to translate like the text on this, because technically you're the one who creates this text in the admin panel. So how is it possible to translate it? Now it's very easy. So what you do is you go to the section for that. So this is the section right here to translate this to a different language. So basically, when someone toggles to a different language and you want the text to change as well, an easy way to do that is to scroll down where it says change language. Then you can change the language. Then you can now translate. So whatever you translate here, once someone switches the language here, it's gonna it's gonna update here. So that's the same thing with categories. That's the same thing with the categories. So right now we see these categories right here. Um, if we toggle, if we translate to a different, there's actually nothing here just because we've not translated anything. So in the admin panel, if we go to categories, we will have to switch the language as well, then translate. So once you switch the language there, it does the same thing. The next thing I would like to show you guys is what we did with the language. So now you can choose a default language. So now the previous version 1.3.3, you cannot choose English was the default language. So now when you add a new language, you can actually make that language default. So default language, you can choose that. And this is where you choose if you want the RTL or not. So let's go back to languages, and if you click on settings, you can actually translate a lot. You can actually translate a lot more strings. Also, another thing too that we added for this version, if you click on seller levels, so now in general settings, I'm just gonna open that real quick. So this section right here, this is the seller settings. So this is where you set up different criteria for the seller levels. So here, when someone reaches a threshold for a certain level, they're gonna get a pop-up. So this is actually where you choose what names. You can leave these names, or you can change it to whatever names you want, or you can translate that too. So this is all up to the admin. Another item we added to is we not right now you can now change the balance for the shopping balance for any user. So if we click on change seller balance, we can actually update this to something else. So let's try 200. So the owner of this account, Pat, we updated his balance from 150 to 200, and so that updates right there. So another item we did was now people who haven't activated their emails, they have limited access on the website, so they are unable to purchase proposals. They're able to also publish requests. So let's actually go ahead and sign in as Pat, because Pat hasn't verified his email. So Pat hasn't verified his email. So if Pat tries to post a request, he's gonna get this message. Please confirm your email to use this feature. Also, if Pat tries to purchase a proposal despite having $200, and again, we updated this from 150 to 200 euros. So if he tries to order this, then he gets that error message as well. So yeah, that's pretty much a rundown of all the features we implemented for this particular version. The next version, of version 1.4.1, we're gonna implement all the other items that we plan to implement for this one. The reason we released this one was just because a lot of people were just really waiting. And also, in addition to these items we added, we also improved on the code. So um, the previous version 1.3 had some vulnerabilities and it was like easy to access. So we've completely improved all of that. And in this version, we changed a lot of methods of writing code, and we just improved a lot of items. So this is essentially a lot more secured. So thank you.